The Child Care Board, established by the Child Care Board Act 1969, is a statutory independent governmental body responsible for implementing and administering the Child Care Act. The original act was replaced in 1981 to allow the board a wider scope of operation, including provisions and maintenance of child care centers for children in need and care and protection, including provisions and maintenance of child care centers for children in need of care and protection, and to place children in foster care.
Fostering is really an arrangement between the Child Care Board and the family within the community, in which the Child Care Board would have done an assessment of that family, and that family would have agreed that a child who is connected to the board could be placed within their home.
There are hundreds of children in residential care waiting for their family situation to become better or to heal from unfortunate events. While they're waiting, foster care is recommended for most children. How do you become a foster parent?
First, to become a foster parent, one would have to be either a married couple or a single female. You must be at least 25 years of age and at least 18 years older than the child who will be placed in your care. Now, we will require you to engage us in an assessment process, and that assessment process would involve you providing us with information to your whole family background. We carry out medical checks on you. We will get your doctor to provide that type of information. We will do a background check in terms of police certificate of character. We will require from you an income statement or some sort of finance where you could prove that you can provide for yourself and your family financially. Although the Child Care Board provides a stipend for the child, that stipend is really for the child and not for your family. Now, part of the requirements would be also that the officer from the board will do a number of visits to your home and conduct a number of visits also at the office to find out more about you and your family. Any adults within your family and also the children within your family, we would also conduct interviews with those, because if we place a child in your home, we need to be sure that all family members are on board in terms of the foster care arrangement.
What types of foster care are there?
We sometimes say there are short-term foster care, which really is a child could be placed with you up to a period of 6 months or less, really. Then we have the long-term foster care, where a child could be placed within your home for more than 6 months. What we also have within that long-term foster care situation in the past, what we've found is that these children become actually part of the family. And even when they reach 18, and 18 is a year onto which the Child Care Board only have responsibility for an individual. That person now becomes an adult, and the Child Care Board's involvement ceases at that particular point in time. And what we have found with these long-term arrangements, that child who now becomes an adult continue to reside within that household. So we have that long-term arrangement, and we also have what we call emergency foster parents, where on the short notice, a short call from us, a child could be placed within your home under what we call an emergency situation. Then in more recent times, we have been moving into kinship foster care. This is an arrangement where that family, the foster family, is actually a biological family to that child. So a grandmother, for example, could become a foster parent. We find this arrangement to be very useful and beneficial to both the family and the child. Rather than the child remaining in one of our residential homes, and there's a family member, grandparent or aunt or son, who is in a position to provide care, but they might not have the necessary financial resources, or they might need a support system from the Child Care Board. That type of arrangement can be made with that family to have kinship foster care arrangement.
Everyone loves to be part of, to belong. That sense of family grounds a person. Knowing that you have a family gives you peace and inner strength to step out in uncertainty. I spoke to a former foster child.
Yes, I am a former foster child. I was in foster care from as early as maybe 9. And having gone through the whole process of fostering that eventually led to my adoption. I had a brother and we were inmates at the Glendale Children's Home that was in St. Thomas. And I guess being there, my foster mom obviously wanted to be a part of the foster program with the Child Care Board, so she went forward to foster a child, and I ended up being that child that she fostered. Yes, of course, not having been involved, living in a what you call a standard home setting with a mother and father. I remember when my foster mom, when she came to the home, she said, she says, "I like you, and I want you to come and stay with me, and you know, see how it goes with her." And so I mean, small child at 9, 10, you obviously would say yes. So I went. I remember the first day that I left the home to spend some time with her. She's a nurse, she's still alive, and she was working on that shift. And her aunt, who went and got me, and when I went to her home, she says, "Your mom is not home as yet, but you're going to be here with us, and welcome." I remember the first time I ever remember in turnovers, she was baking, and she said, would you like a turnover? And I said, yes. And I think that I think I would have started to really like it. It was important to have someone who was there to welcome me, and she did that role in terms of letting me know, we want you to be a part of this family. And I remember that to this day. That was her aunt. I remember when she came home, she said, "I'm so happy to have you, here with us, and hopefully it would work out."
So, other than the place that you had now to call home, right? What did that fostering mean to you?
Well, of course, fostering, as you know, fostering really is someone who wants to play that role as a parent for a child. For whatever reason, a biological parent may not be able to do it. That person is the one who say, "Hey, they raise their hand and say, I want to step in the gap. I want to fill that place, and to make room in their heart and in their home for that child." And that's really what fostering is all about, of providing an environment that a child can grow and learn and develop and to be nurtured and cared for outside of their biological parent. So for me, that was important. Feeling a part of a unit, a family unit. She never had children of her own, so basically I became her child. As I said, and it led to adoption. So for me, it was a new beginning of being part of a family structure, where I had uncles and aunts and cousins and an extended family outside of her. So that was important, and that's the beauty of fostering, where that person can fill the gap for that child if a real parent is not available or in a position to do that. Well, it was exciting because I actually lived with her family, in that she was not on her own. She lived with a sister and a brother-in-law and sisters and brothers' kids. So I automatically got a sort of like a ready-made family. I didn't have brothers and sisters, but I had cousins who were like brothers and sisters to me, and uncles and aunts. So I kind of fitted right in the center of it all, and sort of like it was the center, of this new space. So for me, that introduced me basically to what family life was all about. Yes, it was in the home where we had, brothers and sisters and aunties and so on. So that was a different setting. But coming into a home where you then became the center of attention for this one person, that was important for me.
Did you feel like you were supported?
Yes, I mean, my foster mom made sure that I wasn't left behind. So I went to school the same way. I had education, clothing, food, shelter. It was no different. Eventually, she went on her own, and so then it was just myself and her, and so then it was a new dynamics there with coming out of in foster care, and as I said, it led to adoption. So for her, it was important that she had her own space so that we can relate to each other as mother and daughter. So she provided that for me. So I was able to experience living in a home with other relatives and so on, and then living in a house with just my mom, my foster mom, and just the two of us.
Jenny's foster experience is a good story. She has gone on to enter society and contribute in the arts as an established actor. She was the product of a single mother and extended family unit. The Morgans are an average nuclear family, 3 children and parents.
I'm Lynn Morgan, and I have been married to Troy for 20 years, February this year. We have 2 girls and 1 boy. Our girls are Tia Lynn and Tiana Lee, and our son is Jaheem, and it's good to be here.
What inspired you to bring Jaheem into your family?
I would say that being a foster parent or an adoptive parent, it was either or for me at the time, would have been maybe one of the goals that I had in life. And my husband and I, we discussed it before we got married. And I told him, well, I want 2 children, and then we could adopt the next one. And he seemed to have been in agreement at the time. But fast forward a few years, I met Jaheem when he came to my class in Infants A. And that initial meeting was interesting, I would say. I think at that time I met him, I was only thinking like a teacher. And my principal said, but Mrs. Morgan, you don't know what these children have been through, you have to give them a little chance, etc. So then I started to think beyond that, beyond the behaviors that I saw at the time. And I think he came to my class in the 2nd term of Infants A. And by the 3rd term, I think he had just warmed my heart. And that relationship that relationship grew from there. I would come home and talk to Troy all the time about this boy, and we started to visit him and everything. And as time went by, Troy said, well, why don't you try to adopt him? But at the time, he was not up for adoption. So we were thinking about residential care, and then we were introduced to the foster care program, and we decided that we would go with that. Okay. So I guess the inspiration started a while ago and just grew.
Jaheem, your mother speaks about that special connection she had with you. Did you have that connection with her as well?
I remember when I first went to school, she was the only teacher I cannot leave alone. It just is a trouble her all the time. Give her trouble, follow she everywhere. And like I said, everywhere she go, I want to go. When she do, I want to know. I want to go home with her. I just cannot let go. I just want to be behind her.
Okay, so when you were visiting, they said you come for a weekend. What was your emotional state and how did that make you feel?
It was great. It feels good. Happy. Fun me to leave the home complex, and be with her all the time. Be with the family. And I was just happy and grateful that they take me.
Jaheem was a special person. He was a special person now. His personality was really warming because he loves to be around people, especially females. He's very caring. As somebody would say, he would give you his heart.
He's sometimes annoying.
The Morgans exemplify what the Child Care Board is trying to achieve for all children who are eligible for adoption. Amidst all the laughter and love, they make it look easy. Another person who does it with ease is 80-year-old Hazel King. Gran, as she is affectionately called, is known throughout her community and Barbados as a caring foster parent for over 2 decades.
I had 10,000 tongues, it still won't be enough. Narakelemo, Chuku Nagwamorele. When you heal you completely. Narakelemo, Chuku Maramo Bimo. Isi you can delay, we sing Narakelemo. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. Yeah. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. Nara, 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 Kele, Nara, Kelemo. Nara, 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 Kele, Nara, Kelemo. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. Yeah. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me.
I have fostered a good couple of children, but I cannot tell you the number. The number right now will not be in my head. And I started fostering children from in 1994. Well, I get into foster care by a goddaughter of mine. The mother did leave home and leave them, and then people in the district calling the child care board, and the father ran to me and told me that the child care board come for the children what to do. And I said, okay, I'm coming. That's just up the back behind me. And when I went, I tell them I will take my goddaughter, and they tell me it can't do like that. I say, well, whatever it have to do, I will go through it. And from then, I've been fostering children because I love children, and I believe this is something I have to do. This may be my calling. A lot of people would not realize. So this is my calling. So if this is my calling from God, I will go through it until he said that's here and no further.
Who are these little ones here now?
Well, 1, 2, 3 are grands. That is a nephew. These 1, 2, 3, 4 is great grands, but this is a nephew, my niece own. This little girl, she came down to school, and by the others coming here, the sister started to come. Then when I had summer camp, the sister was at summer camp. Then the mother come and see who was granny they were talking about, and she fall in love with me. So eventually, these fall in. I had a hand in her mother. The brother is not here, which is Alan, and this is Elizabeth. And I had Alan, then after Arlene had Alan, I had Alan in a basket. But he is going 11 now, so Elizabeth come and fall in. This is a next door neighbor. And the next door neighbor. And here 2 or 3 weeks ago, a little one that real hyper, and this little one here that behind. Her grandmother was like a daughter to me, but the grandmother passed away, and herself and the next cousin stick on, just like how the grandmother was. Everywhere I go, Deborah used to be. Whatever I doing in church, Deborah used to be outside of me. Nothing I'm doing that Deborah didn't used to be in. And now she come and doing the same thing. Wherever I is, she must go. And her name is Nyla Austin. I think if I slacken up or stop, I might die. That is the truth. Because if I don't see these children, not only these, my grandchildren big. Some of them married, but some not married. And if I don't see them, I will call home and ask you, where is my children? Till my son had it, I still called them my babies. And he said, Mommy, they're not your babies anymore. And I had to tell him they're my babies until I die. So he stopped confusing himself with me. This is something I can't help. I love children, and I will do anything for children. As long as you're in road, you got Miss King. But it's not only children I did support. Big people like this foster too. My advice to any young body that are going to foster, sit down and study about it very hard, because every child that come to you is not going to be the same thing. Every child have a different way and a different looks at things. And my advice to them is to think about it very hard, put it to God, ask Him to guide you, and ask Him which road you should go, and He will direct your path. But if you know that you just only going in it to have what you will get, don't worry, because you got to go in it with love, and not love from your lips, love from your heart. And as long as you go in it with that kind of disposition, it will work. You got to be somebody devoted to children. It got to be something that you love. If you don't love it, nor you don't care about children, you will find yourself trying. But if you go foster, don't foster because you're going to get a stipend, or you know you're going to get money. Foster with love. And as long as you foster in love, you will get anything work.
The Child Care Board recently had a forum discussing foster care, and the questions direct to the Child Care Board staff from the general public show that people are interested in fostering.
At what point did you introduce the idea to your daughter? Was it when the process started, when you were thinking about it, or when they told you there's a boy, or when he was about to come?
Well, as it relates to introducing the process to my daughter, as I said, they were with me going to school together, and whenever we did visits to him when he was living in the children's home, and she would go with me. So I think she was really an avid proponent of the whole process. She was like, Mom, let's go, this is what we need to do. So I can't recall if we had to really sit down and say, this is what we're going to do, because somehow she anticipated that that's where it was going.
If you are doing a long-term adoption, is it therefore the expectation, once the intro process goes well, that child will be there permanently?
I would say upfront foster care ought to be short-term foster care, or isn't supposed to be a permanent situation. Ideally, we would like to have children in permanent situations, which is adoption or with family home setting and so on. In a sense, it brings stability and identity and so on to that child's life. However, we have situations in which children will be with foster parents, as I said, maybe more than 6 months, which could go on indefinitely. Not every child that is in a foster care setting is eligible to be adopted. So therefore, the child will remain or could remain in that foster care setting until he or she is 18 years old.
Is there a particular policy around how siblings are dealt with? Because Jennifer, you said that it's only like it's just you. So.
Ideally, we would love to place all siblings under one roof. The reality is that, generally speaking, and I'm glad you asked that question, because we want foster parents who are willing to have siblings and who maybe have the space for siblings. But the reality is, we really don't have foster parents who have the capacity in terms of the space in many instances, or who are prepared or capable of having siblings.
I was wondering what is the difference, if you can know any differences between fostering and adopting, and what is the involvement of the child care board after a child is adopted?
I think I went through foster care quite extensively, so I will briefly state adoption. Adoption is a legal process in which you go through to have that child become legally yours. A person ought to be at least 25 years of age and at least 18 years older than the child that will be placed in their care.
What's the average processing between applying for adoption and actually having a child?
Adoption and not foster care. Okay, the average time of processing and then actually getting a child, 4 years, 5 years. Oh, wow. Adoption, 3 years. You see, it's very hard for me to answer that question because a lot of variables comes into play. And let me explain to you some of the variables. One, even in terms of the assessment process. The assessment process could take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. A number of factors happen in there. Some people have to get documents back to us at the Child Care Board. For example, the doctor report. We give the doctors the report. Some people don't go to the doctor don't send it back in any hurry. As easy as it seems, we have to get references, 3 references we require, and that is like your responsibility. Your best friends and so on who will write up these references and send back to us. You think that they will be able to do that within 2 weeks, right? Nah, they don't. We have to be begging you to come back. Where's the reference? Where's the reference? You know, and therefore, sometimes that takes a while.
I wanted to know whether there are any stipulations that prevent discipline such as spanking.
Corporal punishment is not allowed. So foster parents are not supposed to spank the children under any circumstances.
Without an adequate number of families to choose from, many children will end up in residential care, even though fostering would have been identified as their best option. Help a child today. Become a foster parent. If you want to learn more about becoming a foster parent, call the Child Care Board at 535-2800.